Welcome to the For Preaching channel, and I'm excited to announce in this, my first ever video, the new sermon series that I will be preaching through called True Discipleship. Now, this new sermon series is going to take us through the book of Matthew expositionally. Maybe you wonder expositionally, why would we choose that route? And the reason is because I believe that the scripture has something important to say, and I don't want to be in the way of it. While it might be easier to make a specific point, by preaching topically and bouncing around the Bible to find the pieces that best align in my mind with what I'm trying to preach, I would rather be preaching on what the Bible actually has to say. And the book of Matthew has a lot to say about being a disciple. Maybe you're wondering, does every Christian even need to be a disciple? Some of us would much rather be on the couch eating, snacks, not really on the front lines like the men and women that we see throughout Scripture. And I think the answer, which is backed up exhaustively by Scripture, is that there is no distinction between Christian and disciple. You do not jump on the bandwagon of Christianity and then suddenly at some point decide that you're going to finish putting in your papers and get yourself on the bandwagon to be a disciple as well. Rather, every Christian is by necessity a disciple. If you found yourself in a position where you are not willing to take on the duties that are afforded to a disciple, as we'll see in Matthew, you've found yourself in a position where you are probably not a Christian. Now, I don't want to scare you off. I hope that this sermon series will be informative and will be valuable to you. And I hope it gives you an opportunity to see all of the benefits of being a disciple, but also the cost of being a disciple. The title of a book that Stephen Lawson wrote is It Will Cost You Everything. And I think that accurately sums up what it means to be a disciple of Christ. It is not a paltry endeavor where we simply step into the role of Christian and decide that we're going to be Christians now. We cannot identify merely as Christians and expect that when we get to heaven, God will pat us on the back and let us in. Rather, becoming a Christian is a matter of life and death, and it is a high cost that must be paid. We must turn over our entire lives to Christ. We no longer get to be the masters of our domain or the captain of our own ship, but rather we are called to become followers of Christ. The term Christian was originally used as a derivative or a derogatory remark, little Christs, because that is what the Christians are supposed to be. We are supposed to be little Christs. While we may not walk on water, we may not turn water into wine, we may not raise people from the dead, we are still called to emulate the template of disciple that Christ has given us. And I think it's seen most clearly in the book of Matthew. Now, saying that, we will be in other parts of the Bible as well. Matthew is an excellent book, and it connects to so many other places in the Bible that we are going to be bouncing around and we're going to be seeing where Matthew connects to those other places. However, we are always going to be anchored and we are always going to be preaching out of Matthew because I want us to see what God's point, what Christ's point about discipleship is, not what Sam's point is about discipleship. So I hope this hasn't scared you off. I look forward to learning through Matthew along with you, and I hope to see you next time. Until then.